Good evening, America. Happy Friday. We made it through another week, I think. And welcome to the latest edition of Just the News, No Noise. I'm your host, John Solomon, reporting to you, as always, in Washington, D.C. with my amazing co-host, Amanda Head. Amanda, this has been another day of successes all across the board. I look out over the announcements, the court wins this week. President Trump's agenda got cemented in a lot of different ways. What struck you about the finish of this week?
Believe it or not, how relaxed President Trump was. He
true.
sees the safety in this city, and I think that for a lot of us who have to lurk the streets of the swamp, we feel like we can unclench a little because we are seeing the presence of National Guardsmen and additional law enforcement on the streets. But President Trump took an extended field trip this morning that was not on the executive schedule. For those who have traveled to D.C., you know that there is this amazing exhibit. It's called the People's House across from the Eisenhower Executive Office building, where you can see a near perfect replica of the Oval Office. So President Trump stopped in there, went to the gift shop, went on to the Kennedy Center. So he seemed pretty relaxed and even took some questions in the Oval Office this afternoon. You got Canada dropping their tariff levels to match the United States. So pretty good day.
Yeah, and the trade and tariff war is there. I think the big news that struck me in the market went soaring today because finally our Fed chairman said it might be time for some interest rate cuts. Only President Trump's been saying that for about a year, but it sounds like he's going to get them now. Markets went an all-time high by a long margin, 800-point rally today. The economy is doing well, which means Americans' 401ks are doing well. And if interest rates come down, the ability to buy homes and cars and other things will start to do. And also, our national debt will go down because we won't be paying as much interest on all the debt that we've accumulated at the $37 trillion mark, which is.
And estimates also show a $4 trillion decrease in our debt over 10 years because of tariff revenue. So,
isn't that amazing?
Yeah, pretty incredible.
It was a big day today.
Maryland man Kilmer Abrego Garcia is heading back
Maryland man, wait a second.
Maryland
no,
man.
We're not going to call him a Maryland man.
Yeah, I say that in jest.
I know you do.
El Salvadorian man who domiciles in Maryland, as I say. He's heading back there, cannot be arrested by ICE per federal judge's orders, and people are lit up about this. They are not pleased.
Yeah, it's a sign of the courts interfering. I suspect at some point soon the appeals courts will get back and overturn that, much like they did with the earlier this week, the New York appeals court overturning President Trump's unlawful award in the fraud case in New York, the Letitia James case. So there is a lot there. And I think the other big thing with all the scoops that we delivered this week on this show, we're really getting a much closer understanding of how bad weaponization was and who may be some of the people in trouble. And this morning we woke up to some news of someone who might be in trouble. In fact, we broke the story at 6:52 in the morning. The FBI raid on former National Security Advisor and UN Ambassador John Bolton, looking at potential classified document violations or classified information violations. Again, he's presumed innocent, but a raid is a rare thing. And this was a court-approved raid. They went to court and got the search warrant. So this is something that's going to be said. And I think that's the opening salvo in the new approach to weaponization and misconduct among our political elite. This may be the one of many that we see in the next few weeks. And
not exactly unforeseen if you read his book. So regarding the classified documents, and I also anticipate that the DOJ is antsy to get that affidavit unsealed, so that the American people can see exactly why they raided his home. Because otherwise, you've got accusations flying left and right of politicization, which is exactly what we were hearing last year, just in the other direction against President Trump.
That's right. It's important for this administration to address that issue straight out, and I think they will the second the court allows them to unseal the affidavit and the search warrant returns become available. But big stuff all around. Also a great week for energy.
Yes.
Hit an all-time high in oil and gas production. We're a net exporter. We can help Ukraine perhaps rebuild with energy and not be reliant on Russian oil and gas in the future. All these things are in just a few short months. The outcome of the November election. Elections have consequences. This election had a lot of consequences and had a lot of consequences really fast. Yeah, the velocity is crazy.
Yeah, the first half of the week I was in California. The second half of the week I was here in D.C. And it's kind of interesting because it's like a little mini snapshot of last year's gas prices versus this year's gas prices. Because I left California where gas is $5.35.
It's insane.
And that was cheap. That was at Costco.
Gee.
And then I come here, and Costco is the Costco here is if you're dyslexic, you're going to get the numbers confused because I believe it was $3.53 here.
Yeah, I paid $3.09 this morning.
Incredible.
In Virginia,
Boy,
lower
oh
gas tax
boy,
in
gas
Virginia.
all around.
Yeah, well, those are the benefits when you have a common sense economy, common sense government. And I think that's what people are beginning to see. Speaking of common sense, our first guest has a lot of it. He also has a great sense of wit. He's one of my favorite guests to come on here because I always end up laughing and smiling when he comes on, but we also learn a lot. That's why we really bring him on. He represents the great state of Texas. He is Congressman Randy Weber. Sir, good to have you on the show.
Thank you, John. Good to be here again. Appreciate what you all do. Thank you.
It's a great honor to do it and to be able to have these conversations. I feel so lucky. Let me start with what's going on in your home state. A pretty historic week. Democrats finally came back to work after absconding for a long time. A new redistricting map gets passed through the House and on its way to the governor soon. A major victory. And people are saying, oh, this is politics, but it actually started with a request from the Justice Department that said Texas districts were out of line. You needed to do this, right?
Absolutely. And you all know this, when the Republicans try to do something to get aligned with the law, whoa, that's not fair. That's racism. That's
Right.
all the labels they want to give us. When the Democrats do it, they're just in control. Look at all the states, some of the swing states that Trump won. He got more votes than those, yet they're controlled by Democrats. Now, police work, they call that a clue. Something's wrong there. And Texas is moving to change ours, fix ours, bring it in line. And the Democrats have lost their mind.
That they have.
Yeah. I want to ask you about a secondary benefit or a side effect, depending on how you look at it, to this that not a lot of people are talking about. Do you think that this redistricting bill is going to change the migration patterns of people coming from blue states? Do you think they're going to look at Texas and say, well, you know, they've got this map laid out. It doesn't really benefit Democrats to flood the state anymore?
Can you keep a secret, Amanda?
Sure. So can our audience.
I hope it dissuades the Democrats from coming to Texas. So we'll see.
It's possible that Beto O'Rourke will succeed at doing that all by himself, the way he's
Indeed.
acted the last
Well,
few weeks. Unbelievable.
absolutely. But look, seriously, the jobs are in Texas. You're talking about energy. You know, I have 7 ports. We produce in
I think we may have lost the
think we did.
congressman there. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was checking to make sure it wasn't
saw
just
you.
my earpiece. All right, we'll try to get him back in a second. I thought it was a great question
Yeah.
about Democrats. You're right. This map takes them out of contention for really turning the state anytime soon. So
Could
maybe
take some
that
wind out of the sails.
bluization of Texas goes away.
Fresh off the heels of companies like In-N-Out leaving the state, going to a red state, Texas. Of course, Elon Musk and Tesla
Yeah,
leaving California.
sure.
I mean, businesses leaving there in droves. Oh, I think we've got it.
All right, I think we have the congressman back. Sir, we lost you for a second there. We want to have you continue on that great thought. Amanda was saying what this will mean for elections and for common
Jobs,
sense.
energy.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And 60% of the nation's strategic petroleum reserves in our district. So we are a great energy
Ooh.
state
I didn't
and
realize
lots of
that.
jobs here, and rightfully so.
That is amazing.
Incredible.
That's huge. Sir, earlier this week, you had a series of revelations from the great work that Kash Patel and Pam Bondi and Tulsi Gabbard and others have released. It's amazing what we're learning. It's worse than we thought, right? But you see in the documents that we put out last night that James Comey got off, even though they had pretty strong evidence that he may have authorized classified leaks. They didn't even go get the email evidence to make a final decision. They didn't appear to put him before the grand jury or compel things. When you see that level of laissez-faire justice when it comes to Comey, and then you see the aggressive justice or aggressive injustice that Donald Trump faced, how are Americans processing all this right now?
Well, just figure it out. You had Hillary Clinton, you had Joe Biden, and you had Donald Trump. 3 of them had classified documents in the last 10 years, but only one was president. Now, in police work, they call that a clue. When Comey said in July, whenever it was, that Hillary Clinton had 120 emails on her personal computer with classified documents,
Right.
but no prosecutor would take the case, we should have known something was wrong then.
Yeah, that's right. It was the original red flag that we had moved to a dual system of justice. You're right.
Yeah. Congressman, what's the chatter among your colleagues as you guys are heading back to Capitol Hill with regards to this? Does it sound like Democrats are worried, especially, you know, on the upper house side of things with Senator Adam Schiff being in the crosshairs, under the spotlight, I should say. Are you hearing chatter that Democrats are a little worried about what could be found out?
Well, you know, Lloyd Doggett announced today that, I don't know if you saw that if Texas redistricting goes through, he won't run for reelection. I'm going to we probably ought to need to send him some money so we can convince his colleagues to drop out too. But you know, we'll see what happens. I mean, with all this stuff, the evidence is floating around. People are paying attention. Thank God for Donald Trump. People are paying attention. Things are happy. Oh, happy day. Remember that song by Edwin Hawkins, I think? People are finally coming around to look. There's a new sheriff in town. He's called Donald J. Trump, and it's not going to be lawfare like it was usual. And I think people are excited, and I think we're in a good spot for the next elections coming up.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think 26 is going to be a surprising year. It's going to buck many of the trends. I want to talk a little bit about the city of Washington, D.C. The Trump administration began the week by announcing it will have reduced 300,000 federal workers from the workforce by the end of the year. That shrinks the bureaucrats from D.C. Meanwhile, the other thing that's shrinking is crime. A whole week without a homicide here, that's a rare moment. The National Guard on the street, crime rates falling. What message does fixing the nation's capital send to every other city that has allowed their city to go to pot with bad police work?
Well, think about after COVID and stuff, during all the riots and stuff, the Black Lives Matter events, all those cities that they were burning down buildings in the Chicago City Council, all these cities are trying to defund the police. Man, that was unbelievably stupid back then. Now that Trump's in office, and I know y'all know this, he went around with our great police force. He went around with the National Guard. And by the way, you know that Pete Hegseth has allowed the National Guard to be armed now. And so you're going to see happy days are here again in Washington, D.C., and you're going to see a lot of crime drop. You're going to see a lot of respect come back for our police officers, and Americans are taking notice of this. That's one of the reasons, John, why I say in 2026, we're probably in the best shape we've been in a while.
Yeah. And, you know, you hear the rhetoric from Democrats, whether they are city leaders, state leaders, or up on Capitol Hill, who say, you know, we don't need the help. We don't want, you know, the federalization, the takeover of our city. It's you know, tyrannistic and all of that. And yet there are these videos that are going viral of people in different places across this country, south side of Los Angeles and Watts and Compton, and south side of Chicago, parts of Atlanta, Philadelphia. The list goes on and on of these blue-led cities, of citizens saying, hey, Trump, send your people here. Can you send some people here to help us out? Because I'm having a hard time letting my grandkids leave out the front door to go to school. Where do you anticipate this could go next? Are there any mayors, blue city mayors across this country who you think might at some point become amenable to the idea?
Well, you're figuring they have a brain, Amanda. And I'm not in that category just thinking they've got enough snap to figure it. But I do know this. American people have a snap, and as they compare them, they see those videos, and those will be campaign videos, mark my word. And when 2026 comes and we're going for re-election, you're going to see people rise up, and I think in a bigger way vote for Republicans because they're sick and tired of being sick and tired, as Grandma used to say.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Before we let you go, so I want to shout this out because I think in this moment of anti-Semitism, anti-Americanism, you introduced last month the Byrd Act, which will create even greater collaboration among the technical power giants of Israel and America. Why is it important in an era when many are shunning Israel?
Well, that's unbelievable. Israel is America's best friend. If you read your Bible in Zechariah 2:8, God describes Israel as the apple of his eye. And do we want to be on God's side in this situation, or do we want to be like the rest of the idiots that think, Israel's to blame for all the problems, or the United States is blamed for all the problems? That's foolishness. I know whose side we want to be on, and anti-Semitism's got to stop. I'm glad that Trump was defunding some of the federal money for some of these colleges.
Yeah.
I hope people are paying attention. By the way, you know this, that Netanyahu has come out with a plan to go ahead and this coming week, I think, go into Gaza and take over, and we'll see what Hamas does.
Yeah, that's going to be a central moment in that long running saga. Yep. Sir, as always, a great honor to have you on. I can't wait to see you back in Washington. More common sense will have arrived the moment you stepped in the airport. Good to have you on, my friend.
Thank y'all. We appreciate y'all.
Yeah, back at you, sir. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, more on that extraordinary early morning raid, FBI raid on John Bolton's home. What's it all about? We'll have a guest who can break it all down for us. Chris Piota, former FBI executive, right after these messages. Hey, folks, I don't know how anyone can get a restful night of sleep with a CPAP mask strapped to their face all night. Even without it, breathing is disrupted, and we all know how important a restful night of sleep is for our health. If you snore now, you're at a heightened risk of requiring a CPAP machine later in life. So now is the time to stop snoring. One of the easiest, smartest, fastest ways to stop snoring is Zipa. Zipa is the comfortable, doctor-designed mouthpiece that can stop snoring as fast as the first night. Now, don't be fooled by imitators. Zipa was proven in a 600-patient clinical trial and has over 500,000 units sold. Look, this may be your last best chance to solve your snoring problem or face having to wear a CPAP mask for the rest of your life. Zipa, that's Happy Z spelled backward. Get 20% off and free shipping with the promo code SNORE at Zipa.com. That's ZYPPAH.com. And use the promo code SNORE. Again, one more time. That's promo code SNORE at Zipa, ZYPPAH.com.